When making a purchasing decision, in a list of top 3 priorities, is redundancy on that list. Welcome back to Siphon Productions. I'm your host Christiaan van Westhuizen, and if this is your first time checking out my channel, please help yourself to some of my other content, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Let me paint a picture in your head. It's 2019. I'm a young 12-year-old boy and I've just discovered my candy shop. Photography and aerial photography, drones, DJI Spark. I was not dreaming about Hot Wheels anymore. And then the best lesson to learn was learned. Not how to fly a drone, but to make better decisions. My own experience. So, if a certain company sees this video, sorry not sorry. So, follow me as we look at the best buyer's guide for a drone so that you don't make the same mistakes I did, or just do it anyway, come back, realize I was right, and then subscribe. So you clicked on the video and you saw the thumbnail, how to buy a drone. I'm going to take you through the story of my first drone. The JJRC X9 Hero, my very first drone. Now the reason for that is the story I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to divide the video into 2 parts. Mistakes I buying with my first drone purchase, how to avoid them, and a drone buyer's guide, so we can look at how the market currently looks in the month of June 2023, so that we can apply this to our scenario to make better decisions so that you don't end up like me. Now let's think about this logically. Of course I wanted a DJI Spark, the pinnacle of technology under 400 grams. But who didn't want one? Not even Casey Neistat. Everyone and their grandma wanted a DJI Spark. But let's look at how the DJI Spark looked. A 2-axis gimbal, open up cartridge at the back for your micro SD card, batteries that slip on from the back and click in, brushless motors, under 400 grams, LED lights. Now we are thinking the same thing. A cheap knockoff. Precisely. I was JJRC's target consumer, 12-year-old Christiaan. Now, with no income, form of salary, I only had pocket money that was meant to go to tuck shops, but I wasn't your average 12-year-old. I was hard set on getting myself a drone. Mistake number 1. How is a 12-year-old going to purchase a drone? Are you going to fly it? Where? When? But like any protagonist in any film you've ever seen, I persevered. I didn't quit. And somehow I came up with the moolah. Months of saving, doing chores around the house, and developing really important entrepreneur skills. I came up with the moolah. But it took everything I had. Literally. Have you heard the saying, if you can buy it twice, you can afford it? That's a really good piece of advice, because being able to buy something twice gives you room to wiggle for anything that can go wrong with the purchase. So let's say I got the drone. I received it on time. Foreshadowing. I started flying and it went smoothly. And then that one fateful day came and I crashed it. I broke the propeller, or I cracked the arm, or even an antenna broke. What then? Do I have any backup money to buy replacement parts? Mistake number 2. And then the inevitable day came. I did crash the drone, I did crack the case. And what did I have to do? I had to order once more of the same website, wait just as long for the stuff to come, and then I had to bargain that it's going to fit and it's going to work, because this drone is discontinued. So I got the money and I made the hustle. I ordered the drone and I waited the wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. That's a half a year of waiting. That's a smarter Christiaan. But the drone finally arrived and the inevitable happened. I took my first flight trying to install an app that doesn't even exist anymore and learn to fly a crazy drone. The inevitable happened and I crashed the drone. I had to order new screws for the propellers, new propellers and new body plastics from the same website. Was that even a trustworthy website? Mistake number 3. How can you be sure of yourself if you can't even remember the website name you ordered it from? From a psychological standpoint, when committing to something that took everything from you, all the money and all of the time you had, that should be a benefit, not a burden. And now for the fun part, we are going to design a graph for a buyer's guide. The way this graph is going to work is we're going to give a list of criteria. Let's call them the building blocks of a good drone, which is, say, the price, your weight, the camera, the size of the camera, and obviously how reliable it is. The way we're going to rank this is with the following drones. Now, just remember, you can put the drone of your liking into this graph, but we are going to go from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum from the market leader DJI. So we're going to take the Mini 3, the Mini 3 Pro, the Mini 2 SE, the Mavic Air 2S, and then the Mavic 3, anyone with Mavic 3 series, such as the Mavic 3 Pro. The way we are going to give points to these drones is we're going to rate them obviously from the first one getting the most points, the second one getting the least amount of points. But if we're going to rate it against how good it compares to the ideal. So for price, let's say we don't want to pay less, we would like to pay less than, say, $200, which is about 5,000 Rand, just for a nice round number. Weight, let's say under 250 grams. Let's say for the camera 4K 60 with, let's say, a 1-inch sensor. The size of the folded up if I was to use a phone. And reliability, let's say 5 stars, obviously the nearest to 5 stars. So if it is the closest one to this within a margin of, say, X amount of points, it will gain 5. But if it is the leading drone of the 4, but it's not close to the ideal, it will only gain 4 points, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. Now I would like for you to keep in mind that this test can get really subjective really fast. These are ideals, but sometimes a more expensive drone is better, a heavier drone is better, but I'm a beginner, so I'm drawing this chart for me. Let's start with the price of all these cameras. The Mini 3 is around about 15,000 Rand, which is 3 times the amount of our ideal, which gives this first place so far, but it's not the closest. So seeing as this is point system out of 4, this is going to be 3 points with the Mini 2 SE, with 2 points as it costs 8,000 Rand. The A2 costs 28,000 Rand, giving it 1 point. And then the Mavic 3 Pro only receives no points. Weight, we can join some of these circumstances. The Mini 3 Pro is under 250 grams when it uses the lighter batteries. So for hitting the ideal, it gets 4 points. The Mini SE as well gains 4 points for being in second place. The Mavic 2 Air 2S gains 3 points as it weighs 570, which means you will have to register it with countries that have more strict area laws, and Mavic 3 Pro weighs almost a kilogram and it gets 2 points. The camera, we're going to look at the sensor size, as picture quality isn't always the most important thing. So we're going to look at sensor size. The Mini 3 Pro has 1/1.3, which puts it in second to last place. So let's start at the winner, which is the Mavic 3 Pro, which has like 4/3 of an inch, which gives it the ideal for the biggest sensor, Mavic 2S, with the second largest sensor, the Mini 2 SE with the smallest sensor, the Mini 2 Pro with the second to smallest, as you can see. Size, this is all how big it is compared to a phone. All of these phones do achieve a size as big as a phone when folded up. And for reliability, on authorized retailers, all of them range from 4.5 to 5 stars. So I also really want to give them all a 4 in this department. So let's tally up the scores. So we've tallied up the points. You can see that this chart is only actually really accurate if we are looking at beginners. So the highest point scorer is the Mini 3 Pro because it has
the best of both worlds, from the first end of the lowest end of the spectrum, like lightest, most affordable, and then it's also really good at the top end of the spectrum with a bigger sensor than some of the other, which is why it reached the 17. It's trying to be the jack of all trades, and it does all of that really good. The Mini 2 SE is the extreme of the cheap end, the cheapest one here, the lightest one here, but also has a smaller sensor, which does bite it a little bit in the points. The Mavic Air 2S is really similar to the Mini Pro. You'll also see on the internet they really compare these two drones, which is why the scoring is similar, but it does lose out on being like twice as expensive as the Mini 2, Mini 3. Weight costs it something, and the camera department, it has some advantages. And the Mavic 3 Pro, obviously, if this is a beginner's graph, it is the weakest, but for more professional people, this is the best drone, but it scores 0 because it is last place with the price, as none of them hit the benchmark for 5,000 Rand. I really hope that this graph can give you an idea of what type of drone you would like to buy. And you can see that I only use DJI, which is the market leader with drones. I would not recommend you buy any other drones of sketchy companies like I did. So make sure of your sources, and happy searching.